think with AI, with visuals as well, because this is a conversation happening in the design community, it's about there's not really a substitute for taste. So I
Yes.
keep telling young people when I go to colleges, when I talk to high schools, it's like, you gotta develop your taste and you've got to start figuring out like, what's the thing that someone could look at or read or see and know that it's you undeniably. Greetings and welcome back to the Kiss My Aesthetic podcast. I'm super excited to have new friend via Threads, yay, and digital nomad copywriter Sam on the podcast. Welcome, Sam.
Hi, thanks, Michelle. I'm stoked to be here.
It's going to be a really great episode because we were brainstorming already kind of where we want to take this. But for anyone who doesn't know you yet, can you tell us who you are, what you do, and who you help?
Yeah, for sure. My name is Sam, and I run Nomad Copy agency. It's super self-explanatory. I'm a nomad in my personal life and a copywriter in my professional one. I'm American, as you can probably tell from my accent, and I've run my business from almost 80 countries.
Oh, you've got me beat, girl. I think I have 51.
Oh, nice. Still more than the average.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So you've got copywriting under your belt. There's so many different types of copywriting. There's so much to talk about within copywriting. Did you know that that's what you always wanted to do, or did you kind of fall into it? How did you get to here?
Oh, I love this question because I totally fell into it. I was a copywriter before I knew what a copywriter was. So my degree is in marketing. I have a second degree in international business. I went into sales after college. And I always knew that I wanted to do my own thing, run my own business, that corporate wasn't my long-term thing. And I was running a travel blog on the side. No surprise there, right? And when I finally quit my job, I was like, I think I just need some time off, even though I didn't know what my thing was going to be. And I reached out to a few friends, mentors, entrepreneurs, and said, hey, if you need, I don't know, a VA or somebody to do something in your business, let me know. But because they were all aware of my blog, every single person asked me to write something for them. And my favorite project that I did was rewriting somebody's home and services pages. And they introduced me to people as their copywriter. And I was like, oh, I think I'm a copywriter. I think this is it. So it was a side gig freelance thing at first. And then over the course of the last 6 years, I've built it into what it is now.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so at this whole time, you're also nomad traveling all around and doing your business remotely. I think you and I connected right off the bat of having the lifestyle that allows you to travel and having the business that supports the lifestyle is huge. Being a digital nomad was not a thing that I heard of in like high school or college. That was kind of like a hippy dippy, like crazy idea. And then I remember traveling because my digital nomad like era, it was like 2017, 18, 19. And at that point, they were predicting that like 30% of the American workforce was going to eventually work remote. And then, of course, COVID happens. And then it's like all of us. But I felt like it was such a cheat code, like being in Bali, being in Costa Rica, being in, I don't know, Singapore or Portugal and being like, wow, this is great. Like, because you, especially with time zone differences, it's like such a lifestyle hack. Be like, oh, this is lovely. And I just am fresh off a trip to Italy. I'm about to turn around and go out to Africa. So to me, I'm so grateful. And I even like I think I sent a Snapchat to my family this week that's like, thank God I'm not in a 9 to 5 and I can like take a nap when I'm tired and not have to like be clocking in the day after an international long haul flight. It's like, again, I think it's things that people are really envious of, but what are kind of your pros and cons for the lifestyle? Because I think that's a really interesting conversation.
Yeah. And I mean, to your point, like I take more days off in a month than what some Americans get in a whole year with their like 10 days of PTO. But I mean, pros and cons are that it takes so much discipline. I think everybody who's never traveled full time conflates travel with vacation. So I think some pros and cons there too is managing my public persona as a business owner and saying, hey, just because like I'm in Europe or I'm in Africa or whatever, like you're not bothering me on vacation. I am very much working and taking calls and recording my podcast and doing incredible work. I just might be sitting outside on a like rooftop hostel versus like sitting in my living room when I'm back in the States. So I think that's a kind of a plus and a minus is like managing my own schedule. But there's so much discipline in that because it's like, it's so easy, especially when you first go traveling to be like, it's so great. I can go out for drinks on a Tuesday. And it's like, that's not sustainable. long term.
No,
So
I was just explaining this too to my sister. So she's a destination wedding planner. We travel together. And when she's going to work, which is this trip that we just went on, she goes because the work is the wedding day and the other days are our vacation. And I had to tell her, I was like, no, I need like pockets of time to get my jobs done. It's like, yes, I do want to go sit in the piazza with you and play cards and drink an Aperol Spritz. But like the reason I'm able to be here is because I also can get my jobs done and I can delegate correctly and communicate to clients, like all these things that you're saying. And it is a different mentality. And so now we're looking at like our 2026 calendar, and she's got like 2 weddings and then a break of 3 weeks and then another wedding. I was like, just stay. And she's like,
just stay.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I was like, no, stay. It's going to be more economical for you. She's like, I don't think I would be that productive. And it's exactly what you're talking about. It's like the discipline to be like, no, I'm not here like staying in a $300 hotel every night. I'm going to get an Airbnb or live in like a hostel or live in an entrepreneurship house and get my jobs done and then be around other people that are also getting their jobs done. I feel like the environment is everything in those scenarios, which I think people also overlook, right? Because if you're posting on social media that you're at this great landmark and then you're out eating food and then you're doing, you're driving around in a convertible, it's not really showing people that you're doing the work part. So it's so
Right.
true. It's so true.
That's so true. And it's like, I do some of my best work in economy in an airplane because there's nothing
It's
else to do or
motivating.
look out or get distracted by. It's like, those are some of my longest work days is on an international flight. But yeah, it's also not for everybody. And, I've said no to a lot of things to be able to get there too. Like everybody, when I was
Absolutely.
in my 20s, everybody's getting their first dog. And I was like, I know what my goals are.
Yep.
And boarding/pet passports and everything are expensive. So that's something I have to say no to. Or I say no matter where I am in the world to Friday meetings typically because Friday morning in the States is prime social time everywhere else. And I have to prioritize that
Right.
social time when I don't have a built in network the way that I do at home. So
Right.
that's something I do is I just block my calendar for Fridays. In the US, I only take meetings in the morning because if I'm in Asia or Europe or Africa time zones, that's like early evening
Of
typically.
course.
So yeah, there's a lot of saying no. And I think it really does just kind of come back to that having that discipline, but that discipline personally translates to discipline professionally.
Of
So
course.
everybody
Of
wins.
course. How has traveling changed or impacted your copywriting, like your skill set?
Oh gosh. So the way that I see it is like you're hiring me to translate because most of the people that I work with are incredibly smart, which means that they typically have higher degrees or certifications in their fields because I work with service providers. So a lot of times it's people who have finance firms, accountants. I work with a lot of accountants. I work with a lot of mental health professionals. So they, to some extent, have had to defend what they do professionally, like
Sure.
with a dissertation or something. And by the time then that they come to me, they know how to write about what they do to other people who do what they do. They don't know how to translate that to somebody who needs it simplified for them. And so often when we travel and we're speaking in either a broken third language or we have to simplify our English to be understood, it really comes down to how can we have the most impact with as few words as possible? And that's the same exact goal as copywriting is how do we compel someone to take an action as quickly as possible?
That's going to resonate so much with the podcast audience because I'm always talking about design as translation as well. It's like you're giving me ideas, I'm kind of chewing on it and working out and then basically showing you back the translation of that visually. Talk to me a little bit about the influence on design and copy and then copy and design, how those two things are interlinked. To me, they're so linked. They're like this. They
Yes.
are totally in lockstep with each other because you could have the best design in the world. And if the copy sucks, the thing's not going to do what it's supposed to do. But in your words, how do you describe or walk clients through the impact of where copy and design lay in the larger marketing machine?
I mean, I would argue that they're at the core of the
Yeah,
larger marketing machine because you have your messaging and you have to know that. You have to understand your strategy before you can have copy or design. But then once you have copy and design, that's going to go on everything. That is your visuals because there is copy on your design. And your copy has to be well designed to be able to be perceived well. I just had a designer friend, she has become a friend through working together, DM me yesterday. She sent me a voice note. She was like, Sam, thank you for being one of the copywriters who sends me formatted copy. and I don't have to guess where the headings are. So
Uh-huh.
while I don't do design, I have to understand design, and my designers have to understand copy and best practices. And if our goal together, because like you said, there's a lot of different types of writing, and copywriting is one of them. And then sales copywriting is, I believe, truly the core of copywriting. My designers that I work with on behalf of our clients, everybody has to understand what the ultimate goal is. And if that is to
Sure.
sell, then copy and design are at the core of that. And that's, I have a podcast. I named it Copy and, because I'm constantly saying copy is not your marketing. It is one part. It is your verbal written branding, but it's copy and design, copy and strategy, copy and messaging, copy and all of those other parts of marketing.
We usually do this at the top of the episode and I forgot, but let's walk through kind of all of the services that you do offer from top to bottom. So from like entry level all the way to someone working with VIP, because I feel like that will really give people an idea of the breadth of what you do, even though you're in this, like you said, segmented version of copy that is sales copy. There's still a lot of value that you bring to your clients. So talk to me a little bit about like someone who's going through the customer journey on working with Nomad Copy.
Yeah, so there's two ways to come in. It really depends on how you want to work. One is through a membership called Copy on Demand. And I call it a membership, but I think if I'm being really, really real with myself, it is a copy coaching program, but I just don't
Okay.
resonate with the word coaching. But what it is it's one-on-one feedback every single week on one piece of your copy. So I tell you what to improve and why, so that you go write better copy. And the tagline for it is copy that sounds like you, but converts better. So that's my goal for you coming in, is that you become a better
Nice.
copywriter. And that's the more cost friendly option. It's the more sustainable option if your goal as a business owner is to continually write better copy. The other way to come into my world is done for you copy. And I do that either in VIP days, because a lot of times people promise their designers that they'll get them copy for a long, long time. And then their designer says, I needed this last week. And then they panic and they come to me. So we can do copy in a VIP day format or in a project format. If you're a better planner, that's what I recommend, because we start with your
Sure.
messaging. I work with your designer to make sure that the strategy is there, and then build out either websites, sales pages, opt-in pages, thank you pages, sales emails, onboarding emails, offboarding, all of the things that compel people to buy from you and stay in your world is what I write. So yeah, either copy on demand is done with you, or VIP days and projects are done for you.
Done for you. The copywriting space is changing a lot. A lot is an understatement. I think with all the large language models, the ChatGPTs, the Claude, Perplexity, all of these tools that we have at our fingertips, I think it has, for our clients, alleviated a lot of the copywriting questions that they have. I know for our team, it's helped greatly. But I can also see its downfalls, right? Where everyone starts sounding the same. We're all using the same sentence structure. Stuff is just kind of becoming like white noise from a copywriting perspective. And I think if you don't have like a strong copy background, like you're talking about, maybe you don't notice it. But I think for people who've been in the game for a while, you're like, okay, I could tell that was like the laziest ChatGPT caption you could have ever come up with. How do you either integrate, explain, use, don't use, embrace, don't embrace AI of it all, because it's clearly not going away. But that feels like, and I've definitely heard murmurs online and in the Facebook group and people who've DM'd me like, "Oh, I'm a copywriter. I'm fucked because ChatGPT is here." And I just don't think that that's the case, because my argument is like, well, where else can you provide value? Like, this is a tool. This isn't a replacement. But what are your thoughts on all of this?
I agree. I think it's a tool, not a replacement. I also like to use the visual example. So we've all seen the thing where people type in, like, I want this picture of me, but fix my smile. And it like fixes your smile, but also gives you three elbows.
Yeah.
And that it's doing the same thing in your copy. But I think it's more dangerous in your copy because design supports copy when the words are what sells. And you can train language learning models on how to sell and sales psychology, but it's still going to have that robotic feel to it. And then someone might say, okay, well, give me the robotic feel and then I'll make it my own. But really, what AI tends to do is gives everybody the same voice, as you mentioned. So it
Yeah.
just sucks the personality out of it. It absolutely, I think, ruins it. You can give it your branding statements and messaging
Sure.
guide, and it can get a little bit further along, but I am absolutely not worried about my job. I do worry for copywriters who aren't confident, who aren't good at what they do, who aren't trained in sales. I think they will be the ones to
Yeah.
explore other avenues or maybe start working alongside AI and creating AI tools. Like maybe those positions are going to just change a bit. But for myself, I'm not worried because I have that sales background and I've
Right.
been trained in so many like different sales methodologies. I've read up on sales psychology. So I'm not worried about it. And I refuse to use AI on my client projects. I think that there are some
Okay.
ethical and legal implications
Sure.
there that I think my brain is better used just doing it than learning how
There
to
you go.
skirt the rules. But for in my own business, I mean,
No,
as I
that makes
mentioned,
sense.
I have a podcast. I have it transcribe my podcasts and then turn it into blog posts and then go back and judge it. Like I have no problem with AI existing. I'm just not going to use it on client projects.
Sure, 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 sure. No, I think it brings up a good another analogy that I've kind of explained to clients is your output's only going to be as good as your input. And I think everyone understands like food, right? So I always say, if we give it really good ingredients, you're going to get a more consistent, better tasting output. If you're just going in and saying, make me pizza, it's going to give you what it thinks you want to see, which is going to be pepperoni pizza with cheese. But if you're gluten free, dairy free, vegetarian, and you want a pizza, those would be very important things to know before starting to make the pizza. And so when I kind of explain people that and say, like, this is a tool that we use to work with us and not necessarily as a substitute, that feels more aligned. But it's also like the AI, I think with AI with visuals as well, because this is a conversation happening in the design community. It's about there's not really a substitute for taste. So I
Yes.
keep telling young people when I go to colleges, when I talk to high schools, it's like, you gotta develop your taste and you've got to start figuring out like, what's the thing that someone could look at or read or see and know that it's you undeniably. How do you continue to like evolve and elevate? You say that you've got your podcast where you're asking good questions, you're staying curious. I'm sure you probably also binge other people's podcasts, but what other places do you go to help you develop taste or to help you kind of stretch your muscles in copywriting that might give some of the listeners some ideas to kind of go, explore beyond their box?
I ask my clients and I make my clients talk to their clients. It's the best way. And I'll say you can even use AI to do this. So what I do is I try to get stories out of people, not just, hey, Michelle, could you please leave me a Google review? And then you leave a Google review and it says like, Sam is awesome. Loved the experience of working with Nomad Copy. Like there's no story there. But if I
Right.
can ask 3 different questions of what were you hoping to get out of this service, right? Anybody can ask these questions. What were you hoping to get out of this service? What was the process like while we were working together? What results have you seen since? Then you can piece those together and get a story. And when you have that story, and let's say that you ask it in a Google form, everything I do is on Google. So
Love it.
you get it in a
Yep.
Google form, you've asked 6, 7, 8 people, then you just take each column and copy paste it over to ChatGPT and say, I asked this question and these were the responses. Then I asked this
Synthesize
question
them.
and
Yeah.
these were the responses. Can you tell me what people's biggest problem was, what they thought the solution would be, and how, like, 3 core ways in which having great copy changed their
Yeah.
life, or whatever.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
And it'll synthesize that for you, because what it's also going to do is give you a third party perspective where you might really want them to say that it saved them so much time, but really what they're saying is that they feel more confident or whatever, and it's going to take it out of your head. So that's where I look as well, is just
I
ask your
mean, that
people.
happened that happened to us. We took all of our testimonials, I popped them into ChatGPT and I said, what were the most common words used to describe what we do well? And same thing, I'm thinking like, oh, they have the most incredible design, like so unique. The design was incredible. Nope. Everyone mentioned that we are organized. Everyone's like, their team was so organized. There was a weekly task list. I never had to worry about what was coming next. I never missed they never missed a deadline. Everything was like running like a well-oiled machine. I was like, oh, well, then we need to sell that, because clearly and a lot of them had worked with other designers before. And that was their biggest pain point, was that the designer might have been great and super talented, but had no structure, no systems. And that's why they fell off with them and ended up coming to us. So it really does kind of help out, point out where those places are where you could like hone in and find that lane for yourself, and then obviously use that in your sales
Yeah,
psychology.
like they told you your standout factor.
Absolutely. Yes, that's so exciting. Okay, entrepreneurs, this one is for you. You know, I'm all about making your brand work for you, and this is where Sticker Giant comes in. They get it. Whether you're a small business, a creative freelancer, or someone just starting out, Sticker Giant wants to help you tell your stories with custom stickers and labels. They really make your products look pro, your packaging pop, and your brand stick in people's minds, literally. So if you're ready to take your brand to the next level, visit stickergiant.com and become part of the KMA community by using code KMA Podcast 25 at checkout on stickergiant.com to get 25% off your first order. See how they can help you bring your ideas to life. You definitely won't regret it. Sticker Giant, your partner in creating brag-worthy branding. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the clients that you're working with? And you mentioned in the last question, like figuring out how to measure the metrics of success of copy. Our team struggles with this of like measuring the success of a rebrand, for example, because you don't really have like A/B testing data. Either you rebranded or you didn't rebrand. There's not really a way to like segment your audience on that one. There is a way to segment audience with copy. So I'm curious
Yeah.
what your kind of processes are or thoughts are on how you actually measure the impact of better copy, and what that looks like on the client side.
Yeah. So copy is rarely a first hire. It's usually people, and
Sure.
especially the companies that I work with tend to be less than 5 million in revenue a year. So a lot of very small teams. And a lot of times the owner of the company, they might still be the sole person in the company, or they might have a team of contractors. But a lot of times either they wrote the copy or they were part of some copy coaching program or something previously. So we can look at what they've created themselves and just pull. I ask people when we start working together, pull any metrics that you have on the pages that we're going to be working on,
Sure.
including time on page, click through rate. If it's ads, I just have them screenshot Meta. Like it's not hard to find this data. Take
Right.
screenshots of your Google Analytics 4, whatever you have. And then we go in and we can change a couple of headings. We change the above the fold on opt-in pages, and then we get it in front of another 100 people and see how that compared to the previous 100 people that saw it. What is their audience responding to? A lot of times it's like a lot of times it is taking a lot of the words off of the page and replacing it with actions. And especially if people used chat beforehand, chat has a tendency to go negative. So it will sell what it's not. So it'll say, do the thing without the overwhelm. So it's telling me what I'm not getting
Yep.
without the overwhelm. And when we take that negative language out and just let people ride the high and not hide behind that, it's almost like an insecurity where we can take that language out and stick to the positive. 99 times out of 100, we're going to see a better opt-in rate, click-through rate, better time on page.
I just had this happen with a consulting call yesterday. It's like a medical product company, and they want help kind of revitalizing their campaign for next year. And we're talking about 2026, and we're talking about evergreen versus campaign language. And what they were putting forward as a possible evergreen campaign was exactly what you're talking about. It was like almost positioning the brand at like it's like choose blank. And I said, yeah, which is fine. Like, I get why you picked choose blank as your tagline, but also if you're trying to become a household name, like at some point, choose me is not a very strong tagline. It's like if you're known, you're already chosen. So like, what's the value? There's no value add in that tagline statement. I said, I don't want to like upend your whole plan here, but I said, if you're trying to do all the things that you say are your goals, this tagline, just 2 words, it's already handicapping you.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
what is it going to look like if you're now known? Like, and I think they were like, because they hadn't even thought about that, and they're like, well, this is just going to be our evergreen tagline, and I'm like, okay. So it's so
Yeah.
funny because I could see them kind of like unraveling on the call, and I was like, oh no, I probably created such a problem.
It's going to go on forever. We're going to have so much scope creep.
Uh-huh.
But you bring up such a great point there, because in their mind, their goal was to make the sale. They want you to choose them. But a client doesn't want to wake up and spend money that day. They're not joining the thing, downloading the thing, whatever. Nobody wakes up and says, I can't wait to spend $3,000 on a coaching program. No, they want to become something. They want to become a more confident copywriter in their own business. They want to start their fitness journey. They want to do something. So
Sure.
while like we'd be told that like choose us is great because it's a verb and it's a short CTA.
Right.
It's not, it's serving you. It's not serving the client and who they want to become.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think this happens all the time with sales marketing in general, right? Is there's this kind of like passive, and it was coming off as pick me. I said it comes off as like, you have all these choices, but like, we're the one. And that's not, again, it's not pointing to me, the consumer, at all. Like, it's not giving me any other reason other than be like, why should I choose you? Like, it just feels very passive towards the consumer. But I think people fall into this trap a lot with, see my portfolio, see da da da. Like, when you go on people's websites, what are the kind of copy pet peeves from service providers or people that you see online, or people that maybe clients that haven't worked with you yet but want to, or clients that you have worked with, where you're like, man, if I could just shake everyone and tell them, like, making this tweak in your call to action is going to make it so much better for everybody. Is there stuff that kind of sticks out in your mind as a pet peeve in that way?
For calls to action, I think it's exactly what I just said of like, you are the goal, not their transformation is the goal. But I mean, there's a million things
Right.
on sales pages or websites that I'm like, oh, these are the easiest tweaks. And I think either chat or templates or straight up looking at people who don't have good copy for inspiration just because they're in your industry. Like, I think that really ruins
Yep.
people's sales processes.
Absolutely. And also, it's reminding clients that it takes, like your point, you don't just wake up wanting to drop 3 grand on a coaching program, is it takes multiple touch points to get someone to then take action. So, like, yes, they may be taking action on your sales page, but what are the other, I think the last statistic, and the one that I keep saying, I don't even know if it's accurate, I should probably research it, is that it takes 17 touch points now to convince someone to take action. And that I'm constantly explaining that to my clients is like, this is why you have a marketing ecosystem. This is why you have social, it's why you have email, it's why you go to networking events, it's why you have a website, it's why you have a YouTube, a podcast, etc. Is because people need to hear that same message, especially in like information overload world that we live in. Like, just saying the message once is not enough. You're nodding along, so I'm
It's
feeling
not
like you're
enough.
agreeing.
And I'm nodding and I'm agreeing. And I think that the statistic is, so I remember learning that statistic and it was 8 when I was in an advertising class. It was 8 touches. I
Okay.
was in an advertising class in probably like 2012. So what I do remember
Sure.
from that is that he was using like Trident gum or something as the example. And so he's like, it needs to be on the
Okay.
end cap. It needs to be right next to the cash register. It needs to be, you're going to see it in People magazine. And it was a Super Bowl commercial. And that was when it was like, can I pay you in layers? Do you remember that campaign? And so everybody's like, Trident layers. And it was a whole thing. So I think it's also for like low ticket and product where we as service providers also have to, and like very high ticket service providers, because not everybody's going to need a rebrand and a new logo and everything every year. So having that
Of course.
retention, that front of mind for, I would argue it's like potentially hundreds of touch points before people find us, which is where, you know, I'm like agreeing with you in a yes and capacity of like, it's just so vastly different depending on your industry. It's why continual lead gen is so important because, and like, I can't just send out an email and be like, hey man, want a new sales page? And suddenly like fill up my calendar for the
Right.
rest of the year. There's so much guidance to
Right.
getting
Right.
people to convert as high ticket service providers.
No, I think that those are all super solid points. And I think, especially when people are freaking out about like job security, job longevity, with all these AI tools kind of on our heels, what are some of the ways that you continue to provide value to the clients that you do have? Because that's how our business model has shifted. It's like, yes, you're totally right. Just like a wedding, right? Like, hopefully, you're not coming back as a repeat customer every year. With branding, like, hopefully, you're not coming back to do all new brands next year. That's just not how the business works. So, that being said, we've found a really nice way to keep clients on retainer and be able to continue to serve their goals on a month to month basis. And that's been huge for our business. But I'm curious how you continue to provide value to your clients past that initial done for you service. Obviously, they can have you on retainer to help with like blog copywriting or podcast show notes like you're describing, but sales page copy. How do you help from like a high level and then kind of like a day-to-day grind to help them move the needle?
Yeah, a few things there. So there's a statistic, and again, I think it maybe comes from the product based businesses, but that an
Sure.
existing client is 67% more likely to buy from you again. And I think so often we're focused on getting new clients and really big projects. But I think if we took a step back and looked at the biggest areas of opportunity in our business, that would be the lowest lift for us as service providers is creating
Sure.
ways for them to continue to purchase from us. And an example is I just hired my business attorney again for a small, like, hey, can we go in and make sure that my contracts are up to date kind of thing. And I mean, it's not a great example because I reached out to him. He didn't reach out to me, but I
Sure.
think there's so many opportunities there for us. So what I do is I offer people a discount into Copy on Demand so that they can stay there. They can pay on a monthly basis. They can continue to have access to me as they implement their copy, potentially make some changes, or they get it implemented and realize what they thought they were going to do is a little different from the strategy they end up going with. So having that, again, it's a very small retainer. It's less than $300 a month. There's also, I think, everybody can implement this running secret deals to people who have already purchased from you.
Oh,
Because
I
I
love
find it
that.
so
Yeah.
frustrating that when I go to buy a new pair of gym shoes, I have to unsubscribe from their mailing list to then get the 20% coupon again. Otherwise, I'm just getting a
Uh-huh.
10% coupon every other week to my inbox. Why are you treating new clients better than old ones? It's
Yep.
because new clients are more expensive to procure. But what if we just ran like super secret, awesome deals for people who had already purchased from us? They're far more likely to take action and they're like more
Absolutely.
potent buyers than your rest of your list that's never purchased anything.
Ooh, I love that. I love that as a strat. I haven't thought of that. I mean, we do that in a way. Like we do that when we kind of come to this year end when everyone's in like contract renewal phase and we say like, hey, here's what we're kind of pulling together for 2026. Like we're going to serve you guys first because you're totally right. Like recruitment is so much more expensive than retention. I would much rather keep the clients that like us happy than burn myself out on trying to find new ones. But I'm also interested in where you, as we're looking down the barrel of 2026, which is crazy, where you see copywriting changing, evolving, how the services or the asks from your clients might change or evolve, or where you can, again, continue to add value service wise. What do you think people are going to be looking for copywriting in 2026?
I think there's a really big distinction between content and copy. And I think in the past, I've gotten a
Yeah.
lot of requests for writing content. And recently that has completely dried up, which is great because I would always say no anyway, because I'm here to sell. I'm here to help
Okay.
you win. I'm not wasting time writing your Instagram captions. I'm just not. So I think with
Sure.
the rise of language learning models and bots, and I think a lot of people are creating custom bots that are pre-programmed, I think there's a lot of opportunity there, especially if somebody was looking to get out of writing their own copy to go do that and create a really scalable
Sure.
business around that. So that's something that I see from copy as well. I really love my VIP days. A lot of people are like, how could you possibly write a website in just a few hours? And I think there are a lot of
Sure.
people who are further along in business who need a zhuzh, not a redo. And they need to like align a few things. And I
Yeah.
think that's where these like faster services really shine, especially for people who, for copywriters like myself, who like my brain works that way. I can do something really great in a short amount of time
Yeah.
and hand it back over. And also
Right.
the collaborative approach of you understand that this is a time-based service. You've given me all of your branding documents and things already. So I'm working with what I have, but what I promise people is it's 90% done. So you can bring it over the finish line. And that's great for somebody who just does that blank page
Sure.
syndrome and doesn't know where to start. It's like, Sam, just do this and I'll get it the rest of the way there. I'll cross the T's and dot the I's. So that's something that I've seen a lot is that my projects have decreased and my VIP days have increased. And I think that's why is because people were in a trust recession too. And so they want to hold things a little bit closer to the
Yeah.
vest.
No, and the VIP days make so much sense again for your lifestyle too, right? Because then you can say, "Hey, I'm going to be actually wind surfing in Venezuela, so I'm unavailable, but I will be available next week." You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like
Yeah.
I think that that's a really nice structure.
Exactly. And it's
For
good for
sure.
them and me because we're clear on timelines. It's not like you'll hear from me sometime in the next
Yes.
2 weeks. It's I will be at your service all day Thursday. DM me if you have any questions. Otherwise, don't bother me. I'm writing.
Yep. Yep. No, that's very similar to how we do branding. Our process is a bit longer because we like to kind of sit on it, chew on it a bit.
Mhm.
But I'm toying also with the ideas of like, okay, what would it look like if we offered a branding service that was like done for you in a week? That was at half the price of the full shebang because it's taking less of our time. But I'm like you, like if I can get 7 uninterrupted hours, it's like my favorite thing ever. Like,
Yeah.
don't look at me, don't talk to me. I'm working, like I'm in the zone. And to be able to get immediate feedback because they've been anticipating that that was their time slot, I think is also key. Because the reason that our projects take as long as they do is because we're waiting for the clients to get back to us. Like we know what we're doing every week. It's we're waiting for their feedback in order to move forward.
hmm Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, if anyone wants to work with you, find you, follow you, listen to your podcast, will you please plug yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. My full name is Samantha Burmeister. The spelling will be in the show notes, and that's my LinkedIn is Samantha Burmeister. You can find me on Instagram at nomad.copy. My website's nomadcopyagency.com, and my podcast is linked at the top of the page. But if you're already in the podcast player where you're listening to this, you can search Copy and you'll see me there.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming on. It was great to talk to you. I'm sure we'll be back around because I feel like, oh, also tell us where you're traveling. Where are you now and where are you going between now and the
So
end of the year?
yeah, I'm currently at home in California, and I try to schedule my podcast appearances and even batch my own podcast stuff when I'm
There you
here because
go.
I have control of the environment. But I just got back from a month in Eastern Europe. I'm here for a couple weeks, and I head to Mexico for most of the rest of the year, get some sunshine. And then I
Love
have
it.
made so few plans after that, which is great because usually I'm booked out for like months. So hoping to get to some conferences and retreats next year, actually.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. So kind of leaving some space in my schedule.
love it. Make sure everybody that you're following along. If you love the episode, don't forget to send it to a friend, leave a review, find us on YouTube, anywhere you listen to podcasts. Thanks so much for listening. And thanks so much for your time, Sam.
Thank you.
See ya.